Hello, I'm Sten Martin and thank you for joining me again. I'm back and this is the second part of the double feature. So this is episode number 15 and I just want to show you as um, people ask me, how do you do the pattern from this? How do you do when you take it down and mark it up? So I just wanted to show you the dress I just made. I just took it down and I marked the lines I drew, and the back piece looks like this, and you can see the neckline. This is the center back and it's shaped because we gave extra width downwards, and here is the arm side and the side seam, and here you can see the little extra part that I added to give it more shape. And you can actually see the line here is slightly outwards, so it's natural to continue it outwards. And a little dot in here. And the other part, the front part, looks like this. And here you can see, oh, here you can see the bust. I'll move a little bit close so you can see the bust dot up here. It's a little bit difficult. The bust dot is up here, and then you have the other dots down here. And if you would like to move this bust dot so it's down in the arm side instead, I would like to show you that. And then what I will do is that I just cut down here, and then it will open so I can close this one up here. So I try to make this so you actually can see it. I just pin it up here. So here is the bust dot. So I just cut down here. I would like it to be over here. Cut down to the bust. And then you can see it opens up. And I can just close this part up here. So it looks like that instead, and then of course I just pin it together. And then I got a completely new pattern piece that looks like this. So you can actually transform your pattern to different shapes. And down here you can also see the part that we added to make a fuller shape. So you can see the side seam goes out here. And I added a little bit more extra at the hem if you wanted to make it longer afterwards. So that was the dress, and how you make pattern pieces out of these drapings. So be sure just to iron your pattern and have all your markings on when you take it down, and then you will get a great pattern. And then just make a test dress maybe before to check all the seams and see how they look. So now to do a little bit more advanced jacket, it probably will take some time, but it always does. So hopefully I can do it under an hour, maybe half an hour. Let's see. Here is the shoulder pad. I'm going to use the shoulder pad now because I want a little more squared look. It sounds strange, but a more sharp look. So I'll take the shoulder pad and add it on up here on the shoulder. Maybe I turn this a little bit so it's more clear. Just pin it in place so it's secured. Pin it over here and at the top, and I make the shoulder a little bit wider. And what I would like to do now is to make a label that comes out from the front part. So it's going to be something that looks like a waistcoat, sorry, a waistcoat over here, and then it will continue down here and continue out on the side and up here, and then it will uh, uh, raise up a collar inside of that. So as usual, I haven't prepared any fabric, so I just cut it so you can see how it goes all the way. And of course, there are going to be some repinnings, as it always is. But I think it's important that you see how it actually is when you work with it, because you're probably gonna have some problems when you do it too. So, well, let's try and see how it works. So I have my fabric and my scissors and my pins as usual. And to start out with, as I always do, I just remove the sewage, I think it's called, as I always say too. And I just rip that one off. Actually, these edges, um, why I rip them off is because they give some tension to the fabric, so it doesn't move that well. And these ones you can always use in your sewing for a lining, or no, not lining, a waistband, because it's stable, and you can use them for making marks on how you would like your garment to be. So I just put them there. And now I'm just doing the front because it takes some time. So I just check that I have enough fabric, and take some fabric that's more not so wrinkled. So I have it over here, and I have over to the side. Just rip it and remove the threads, and make sure I have enough length to it from the top here, but the important thing is that you have enough at the shoulder neckline section, and then I will go down here and just rip it off. And you always get a lot of threads, so you just have to remove them too. And we start out, as always, with folding a front edge, and we do that because the fabric can be a little bit stretchy at the end, so it's stable, but we also have some extra fabric if we want to make the garment larger or do something else with it. Place it so we have enough fabric up to the shoulder, and this waistcoat will actually go round up here. So now I want to have a little bit extra because I think it would be interesting if it continues to the center back. I think I made some teaching video earlier on where I showed something similar, but I do it now anyway. And it moves around up here, and we have it like here. So place it over here, and I want buttons in the front here, so I have to remove this outwards approximately half an inch in 1.5 centimeters or something like that, or 3/4 inch. Place it here, and then I just pin it in place, and I put 2 pins there, so I have enough so it doesn't move around. And I continue, just place it up here. And I just continue downwards, pin it in place down here too. Over here. And then I would like this one to continue up here. And just put a pin out here too, so it doesn't move around so much. And the thing is, if I just continue the same straight line and just move it around like this, I will get a fold out here. And I don't want that. I want it to be straight up here. So what I do is that I remove extra fabric up here. I hold it tight up over here. And then I remove more and more fabric. And there will be a little crease inside here. And I remove enough fabric so I can put it up over the neck and still got it tight over here. So removing fabric up here, make sure I have enough to center back, place a pin, and be sure to notice that it's raised up here. And then I just find the shoulder neckline in the section and just cut in a diagonal angle inwards. So cut. I don't cut parallel because then I remove my allowance. I cut in an angle, 45 degrees, all the way down. And then I remove the tension so I can just continue all the way down, all the way back to the center back. And it wasn't all that much fabric in the back, but you can just add some fabric if you would like it to. In the back it looks like this, and you can see I barely have any allowance, but you can just add it on afterwards. So always put it quite high up. And the allowance in the neck here, I just have to cut upwards here to release it a little bit. And then I get some more fabric in the center back. And then I can mark it all around in the neck and center back, and I can also write that I would like some allowance extra over here. Up here it can fold a little bit, but try to just, after you cut, try to stretch it a little bit so you get it all tight up here. The fabric is a little bit stretchy, and of course if you make it in a fabric that's not stretchy afterwards, you can have trouble, but most fabrics are a little bit stretchy, and it's a little bit not straight, it's a little bit slanted, so the fabric will be more stretchy. So you can actually stretch this a little bit so it keeps snug over the neck. So now we have a front that goes up and makes a neckline up at the side. Then we will need to place where the color should evolve from. And of course now you don't know how we're gonna look yet, but if you look the clip through, then you can go back and then you can work together with me. So you just have to take it for what it is now. So I mark over here, and what I want is 2 seams here. So it's not necessarily the bust dot, it could be a little bit narrower. So you have to plan 2 dots over here. So I just make a mark. I can feel here that I can remove some fabric over here, so I'm going to put a mark here, big cross. Hope you can see that. Maybe I should use the other pin instead. Put a big cross over there, and then I have to imagine where I can place the other one. As you can see, I haven't pinned yet. I just feel where it would be good to place it, and then I make another mark over here. So you can see this is the width of the collar, and then it's going to be cut down here, but I will just quickly pin these ones first, so I'm sure that will look good. I just put a pin in the waist to make a nice shape, and as we know before, when I pin this, you can see it tightens this one up. So what I usually do is that either I just let the jacket open, or I add a little bit extra here at the front. And if you want to add a little bit extra at the front, you just have to raise it up and cut into your folded area, and then you can open it a little bit so it looks more straight and still has a full hip. And of course you have to beware with this. If you have stripes, it's a little bit annoying, and or if you have a folded front, it's a bit annoying too. But if you have a seam all the way down here, it's no problem. So I just add a little bit to get the tension away, and put some pins in, and pin the other dart too. And the important thing here is to make sure that the side here doesn't pull anywhere. So you take the fabric out on this side and make sure that you don't pull the fabric. Quickly put some pins into the shape here and down here, and I want these ones to end because I like the full hip shape here. And as you can see, it's nothing that pulls horizontally. It looks smooth here. It looks smooth over here too, because we actually added a little bit in the front. It's important to remember. It doesn't come by itself, because when you do this, it raises and it drapes a little bit in the front. And to get a smooth side, we can cut into the side seam over here. So I just cut into the fabric to the waist in the side, and then it opens up nice here. As you can see, it opens here, and you can get the side seam, irritating fabric, you can get the side seam upwards here, and you can remove this downwards so you can get a full hip. Look how nice it shapes down here. So that was over here, and this extra fabric up here we're gonna use, so we have to have some extra fabric up here. So just transport it upwards, and then we have to remember that the color will go up like this. I can actually show with a piece of fabric. The color will go upwards, something like this. So we have to have enough fabric to in the waistcoat part to not be shown over here. So I mark facing in here and up a little bit outside. The folding line of the next fabric. And then I can cut, maybe I should do it a little bit more so we can see. Then we can cut down here in the facing. Up to the middle here and into the cross we made. So, and then we can use, we can put this fabric on top. And of course, there's not enough fabric to make the color itself, but it's enough to add some fabric on it without being seen. So all the side dot here is smoothened upwards and inwards and pinned in place up here. So you just smooth it up and around. And then it's time for making the armhole to get the fabric released. So you can see we have cut in here, so the side seam has to be here. So I just continue upwards. I will do it with the other pen. I continue upwards to the side seam, to the arm side, and then I just mark the arm side over here, and I also continue down to make the side seam. And I have to move this a little bit so I can make the arm side. And over here we want enough fabric to make a wide shoulder, so I just continue up here to the shoulder pad, and be sure to make a nice roundness. And then I can cut so I have enough allowance if something should be wrong or I want to change it afterwards. So I cut in here and I cut over here. I remove some pins and cut the side seam, and here I put a lot of allowance if I would like to change it afterwards. And I cut the side seam from downwards too. And you can see it has a very nice shape here. It has a little bit of fullness over here. Usually I add a little bit extra here so it's not too tight over here. It can be a little bit uncomfortable to wear. So you want a little bit fullness actually, so you can put some fingers down here, over here, and then tight in the waist and fullness over the hip. So you get a nice hourglass shape. You can see it out here. And then when the some threads in my jacket. And then when the sleeve adds to it, you get a really nice shape over here. So I pin a little bit more over here to make it really nice shape. And also nice to have it as guidelines when I mark up the pattern. I pin the other dart too. There, it's a nice shape, and it's also snug here in the front, full in the hip. I can put my hand in underneath. Actually, I can move it a little bit up, and then you can see how full it is down here. Maybe we actually could make the hemline while we add it. And you play around a little bit with it, so you can make it straight or upwards or downwards, or you can make a front that is open, or what you would like to have. There. So I pull it down a little bit again. What we need to do now is to add something to this piece of fabric we have loose here. And actually, this piece of fabric is the same as the front. So that's why the clever thing with this jacket. See, I get all happy with this. You have actually the same fabric from the neck, goes down over here, goes around up here, and continues up in the side and ends up here. Now I'm going to make a color, a label with this one and turn it around, but we don't have enough fabric here, so we just have to add some fabric, and we do that to this straight line over here. So I just use some of the fabric I had, and I measure it from down here and a little bit lower and up to the neck, and then I have to have enough to continue to the center back, hopefully this time. And it doesn't have to be all that wide, so I remove a little bit more. There. And then I just add it to this one. And I want to make sure that I have seam allowance, so what I do is that I fold this just slightly around. So I have a little, it can't be shown, but I have a seam, but I have a little allowance over here. And then I add it to this one. So the two cut edges actually fits to each other. And then I pin it in place. Be sure not to pin into the dress stand and make creases or anything like that. So just continue upwards. And I'll show you in a second how it looks. Just have to turn this around a little bit so you don't pin then the fabric. What you do is that you put your hand underneath, so you're sure not to wrong. Continue pinning upwards. There. So now, and I don't know if you can. Oh, pinning the other fabric here. You can see all this part is, if I don't pin in the other fabric, see all this is a free part now. So it's added over here. It looks like this, and I pinned horizontally down here, but I have to pin vertically up here because otherwise I can't fold the fabric around. So now I try to find the sorry, the neck intersection, the shoulder neck intersection. It should be the same one that's underneath, and then I just cut down to that point. Sorry. And then I can pin that in place. And then I can just turn this fabric around and upwards to the neck. And then I can decide just how high I want it to be over here. The problem here, or the issue, not the problem, is that you want this. Sorry, coughing and sneezing. That you want this to continue up to the neckline, so this one can continue around here. So what you have to do is that you fit this. If you have too much fabric, you just repin this a little bit, so you get a nice continuation from this line all the way round to the neck. So just alter it a little bit, and then just fix the pins over here. And then shape my collar all the way to the back. So hopefully you can see this, that I do like this maybe. You can see that the seam here continues up to the neckline and to the back. And then I can just pin it in place here at the stand. Maybe adjust it a little bit more up here at the neck, so everything lays smoothly. And just adjust it a little bit down here too. And with that base in place, you can turn this around to match the seam you have over here. So I keep it tight over down here. I just pin it to the same point, and then I shape a nice collar up here. And of course it would be a little bit tight over the shoulder, so I put it up here with a quick pin. I design my collar, and then I cut this away, and then I can tighten it a little bit afterwards. And the collar I'm making, it has to come from the other cross. So the folding line is from the first cross up to the neck, to the height that you would like it to be. The other one is from the other cross. And here's the thing, is to make a nice shape up to the neck. That can be a little bit difficult when you haven't tried before. What I usually do is that I make a little crease so I can see more clearly what I would like up here. Just crease it a little bit, and then I just draw the first part of it upwards, and then I cut away some excess fabric with a lot of allowance. And then I can just turn it in to the shape I would like it to be. And of course it should fit with this dart over here. So I turn it in, pin it in place, and continue up here with the color. And then it can't be that wide, because then you get a lot of tensions. So I make it narrower up here. Actually, I have a little bit too much fabric, so just cut away a little bit more. So I narrow it in, so I get a nice shape up here. And it can be a little bit difficult because you have to go in to a quite narrow shape to make it fit nice up here. And when you have made this one, you can crease it, and then you can cut off some more fabric. And then shape it inwards again, so you can continue that way, because if you have a bulk of fabric inside there, it's just plain difficult. And suddenly you get a nice, not suddenly, but then you get a nice shape over to center back. So the issue here is to make so it that you don't have tensions here, because it comes from down here and up, and if you have tension here it's too wide because the fabric can't form itself around here. So that's why it's also important that it's not too wide down here, because then you will get a very slanted line up there. Down here I also have enormous amount of fabric. Take this one out and remove some of it. It's like being at the hairdressers, you just cut a little bit away all the time to get the finished result. If that's what you do on the hairdresser and just not remove all the hair you have. So here now is a nice shape. Overall, you got the front that goes in here, and you get the side over here, and you have the side seam over here also quite snug. Shoulder seam, we mark it, and it has to go from the neck shoulder intersection, and I usually make it a little bit to the back. I think that's nice. Cut and remove the fabric, excess fabric. Be sure you have allowance. Mark, you can see here the shoulder seam goes to the backward. Mark center back for your collar. It should fit with the other one, and cut it with some allowance. So there's the base for it. But hello, you say probably, what's about this here? You actually have a cut here. It's not very nice, and you only have one. You have two colors. One is the waistcoat part over here, and the other one is the jacket. But you don't have the top color yet. So we have to do that. And the issue is where to start that. Of course, you can continue all the way down, but then we lose the ID with the connected piece all the way around. So what I usually do is that I make a pocket flap here. So I actually make a pocket over here. Doesn't have to be a pocket, it can just be a fake one, but it's nice to make a pocket over here, and then you just continue this one out. And of course it can't be a very large pocket, it's just a little thing here. And if you do it wider, of course you can make a wider collar and a wider pocket. You can also just make a seam, but we shape this one on top of that. So I need to have some more fabric. And it has to be enough fabric from all the way down here to all the way back there. And it doesn't have to be all that wide, because my collar isn't all that wide either. So I have this strip of fabric, probably a little bit too wide, but rather that. And here we have a thread here, and usually we want to have the thread down here too. So I just make a crease in the middle of the fabric. And then I place this crease in the middle between the two ones. just place a pin there, and then I just have to balance this so it continues down just between the two darts, and I pin it in place down here too. Two pins to keep it there. And then you can just put a pin up here too, just to keep it away from your work. And then you have to mark where the darts are, and you can just make creases here so you actually can see them up here. And then I can see the line where I have creased it. You could also mark it with little dots where your pins are at, and you continue all the way up to the cross. And of course you do it on both sides. Mark, 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 mark. And you cross, continue downwards a bit, decide where your pocket should be, and mark that too. And then you can start cutting away down here. Cut away some fabric, the length. I go in here, cut with allowance, the shape I just marked. I do it on both sides. Cut out. And remember to not continue up, just 2 marks and out on each side. And then maybe a little slash in the waist to make it easier to fit. And then you can just roll the fabric in to fit the draping you have, and pin in place. And I continue all the way up to my crossing here. Just pin this in place, it just takes a second or a minute. Roll it and pin. You just make sure it fits to your dart, and it's not necessarily the dots you have made, because now you can actually see where it should fit. Okay. And then we also have to do it on the other side. And we continue all the way down. And then I can remove my holding pins, and I just turn up this end of the pocket flap. And I just continue to push them inwards so I can get my darts free to stand out. So there is the shape. You can see it's all snug. You almost don't notice it. If you want a seam here instead of a little pocket flap, that's just for you to decide. So we're almost there. Just stay with me a little bit longer. Now we're gonna make this color up here. Then we have to continue the shape upwards here without any folds over here. So what I do is that I make sure I have cut enough in here. I have to cut a little bit more to get to the exact point. I place it up here to the neckline. And then I fold this part inwards. And now I can have some pins up here, but I'll try anyway. And you don't have to have more width than your collar, plus a little bit more. So I just cut a little bit of it here. And turn it around inwards. All the way in as a facing. And when you come up here, I don't know if you can see this, you can actually turn it in here. And up here, you just have to remove the center back pin. And then you can continue all the way up. And be sure that it's snug over the fold. Here at the intersection, we just have to cut the facing to separate it. So one part goes in here under the collar, put it all the way in, and the other part will go into the neckline and continue to the back. And you put a temporary pin there. This other part of the top facing, I just fold it the wrong way around upwards, and I slightly crease it all the way around. And then I have an indication where the color will be. And then I just cut there with a little bit allowance. And then I can fold it around the color. And I'll be sure to make a cut down here to get it exactly at the mark. And then I just continue to fold it upwards and around to the center back. And then I just have to adjust this area. I have some pins here holding it in place. Just remove them. And then the tricky part is to make this area nice over here without stretching the fabric or twisting the fabric. So I just ever so slightly, ever so put it in place, and then I just adjust it a little bit downwards. And here you usually want to adjust it a little bit to keep it from twisting. So just repin a little part here. And then I just mark center back. And cut away excess fabric. And then of course I have to mark this whole piece here. I mark this edge over here all the way. I mark the folding line on the top, and I mark my fitting marks. So there it is. You have a front over here that is a waistcoat. You can get your hand in here. You have some buttons here, and then you have a side collar that goes all the way up, and then you have a shoulder area over here too. So that's how that can be draped. If you don't have a dress stand, or you want to make it to a person that doesn't fit to the dress stand, you can also do it as pattern making. And I just show you here. I have a tutorial, and it looks like this. And here you can just, actually I think maybe I can show, I just had up something. You can see here is how it looks, and you have all the showing. You see here, maybe you can see, shows exactly how it's done. So there's a link below if you want this, and it's as an iBook or a PDF file if you don't have the iBook part software. So you can use it on almost any computer or device, and it will also fit to your iPhone. And then it is a little bit smaller. It will look something like that. This was part 15, I think. I'll be back soon, hopefully, with some more draping ideas. And I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if there's anything you would like to know more about. And I try to develop this tutorial series in your wish direction. Hope you have a nice evening. Be sure to check the link with the tutorial, and see you soon.